Next game we're talking about, though, is the only other ranked game besides Arizona and Kansas State. It is number 24 Boston College at number 6 Missouri, 12:45 p.m. Eastern Time on SEC Network. The storyline for this game, this is the first real test for Missouri. Don't get me wrong. Missouri has looked awesome through 2 games. In fact, Dalton, they're the first FBS team since 2019 to have 2 straight shutouts to start their season. Right now, Missouri is outscoring their opponents 89-0 so far. So because of that start, Missouri, that started the year at number 11, is now all the way up to number 6 in the AP poll. But as impressive as they've looked, it's important to remember they played Murray State, which is an FCS school, and Buffalo, who went 3-9 in the MAC last season. So not necessarily the toughest competition just yet. Boston College should present the first real challenge for Missouri, as they're currently number 24 in the country, doing great under Bill O'Brien in his debut as Boston College's head coach. They have a 2-0 record right now. They beat Florida State in week 1 as well. So I'm really excited to see Missouri, for the first real time this year, truly get tested.
Yeah, and watching their first 2 games, I don't even think they played their best football, and they still won 89-0 across the 2 games. I think there was some mistakes, especially offensively. It sounds funny because, well, they scored 89 points, but it actually hasn't been the most crisp execution yet on offense. And I think what I'm looking for is Brady Cook. There's a lot of downfield shots that he's actually missed through the first 2 games. And I wonder, maybe not sleepwalking, but they have almost very casually won these first 2 games without playing their best football. Now, really encouraged by their offensive line, really encouraged by their Toriano Pride and their secondary. Obviously, they have a boatload of weapons that just can dominate teams like that at probably 60% speed. Honestly, Missouri's absolutely loaded, but I don't even think they've played their best football yet. But you don't want to go out against a team like BC, who's running hot, who went down to Tallahassee and dominated Florida State. They didn't just win; they were the better team from start to finish in all 60 minutes in that game. So maybe there's a switch that gets flipped, but it's certainly a new challenge for Missouri right now, even though they look very, very good through these first 2 games.
So, Dalton, you have the Missouri side of the football in this game with so many stars. Obviously, Kirby Moore, Brady Cook, Luther Burden III. What should we be looking out for when the Missouri offense is going against the Boston College defense?
I got to be honest. Unless you're an elite coverage team on the level of a Georgia or something like that, I'm not really sure how you slow down all of these weapons that Missouri has. When you talk about Luther Burden, Marquise Johnson, Mookie Cooper, Theo Weiss, Norfleet, Marcus Carroll, Nate Noel, just weapons, and Brady Cook's feet too. I mean, they have so many weapons, right? And you can't just line up and go, oh yeah, we'll shut them down. That's not a thing. I think the most effective way to do it, and what I want to see, is how much pressure Boston College defensive coordinator Tim Lewis applies to Brady Cook, because his numbers in his career against the blitz are just not quite as good. And since the start of last year, just a 68.3 passing grade against the blitz with 9 big-time throws and 6 turnover-worthy plays. That's just about 14 points lower than his passing grade against the standard rush. So I think what you do, and a lot of times too when Cook gets blitzed, he's more inclined to run, he's more inclined to beat it himself instead of throwing over it. And he doesn't throw on the move a whole lot. So I think that's the way to do it. I think I want to see Boston College so far is blitzed at like an above average rate, right around 40% on pass plays. Not the highest rate in the country by any means, but I think it's somewhere in the top 40 or 50 if I remember right. I think you have to stop Brady Cook. And I think you have to force the action and make him do something at a speed that maybe he doesn't want to do. Because if you send 4, and this is a good offensive line led by Connor Tollison at center, even though they lost Javon Foster, I think their offensive line and even their run game has looked really, really good. But if you get an obvious passing downs and you send 4 and you let all these weapons Missouri has just go and run free, good luck.
Yeah.
I don't think the answer is how do we cover Missouri. The answer to me is how much do we disturb Brady Cook, and I want to see if Tim Lewis goes out there and does that. If they amp it up, if they're saving all. And they run their blitzes. There's some complicated stuff in there. There's disguises. They'll show you 1 and then go with the other. They'll show you 0 and drop out and send whichever guy. Like there are things that cause problems in protection. But I think Boston College, it's almost like they have to gamble and just go, you know what? I don't know that we can cover them. I believe in our guys, but that's a bunch of freaks they have, especially at receiver. At 4 or 5 different guys at receiver, a good tight end, 2 backs. You have to stop the run, too. I think Missouri's well over 400 rushing yards in the first 2 games as well. So Marcus Carroll and Nate Noel in the run game. But I think in moments where they get Missouri, say in a 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, they have to gamble, they have to get after him, and they have to make him make throws under pressure.
Absolutely. So, yeah, you got to contain that Missouri pass game if you're Missouri, or excuse me, Boston College. And then on the other side of the ball with Missouri, you got to contain this run game for Boston College. A dangerous, dangerous run game for the Eagles. Right now, Dalton, Boston College has run the ball on almost 67% of their plays this year. That is the highest rate among Power 4 schools. The Eagles have a 4-headed monster in that backfield with Treshaun Ward, Kai Robichaux, and Turbo Richard. Each of them have over 100 rushing yards through 2 games this year. Excuse me, the 3 running backs have over 100 rushing yards. Thomas Castellanos, the quarterback, is right behind them with 71 rushing yards. Last year, Castellanos had 1,222 rushing yards, second in the country among quarterbacks. The only one who had more was the Heisman Trophy winner in Jaden Daniels. So Thomas Castellanos, by all stretches, is one of the best mobile quarterbacks in the country. And if Missouri stacks the box to stop the run, Castellanos also has the capability to win with his arm, because with Bill O'Brien in there now, I know it's only 2 games, he's looked a heck of a lot better than what he looked like last year. Right now, Dalton, actually, Thomas Castellanos has a 94.4 passing grade. That leads all quarterbacks in the country. Last year, he was 128th in the country with a 57.7 passing grade. So Thomas Castellanos, under Bill O'Brien, who's known for being this quarterback whisperer, has really improved as a passer, which makes that ground game all the more hard to stop, because now you can't just stack the box against this rushing attack. Now you have to be accounting for this aerial attack for Boston College as well. I will say Missouri's been really stout against the run. They've only allowed 3.2 yards per attempt, which is 20th in the country. But again, like we said before, Murray State and Buffalo. This is not the Boston College rushing attack they've gone against yet. So this Eagles backfield is going to test Missouri more than they've been tested all year. And again, you can't just stack the box, because Castellanos has proven that he can win with his arm now too.
Yeah, I agree. And I think a big thing that works in Boston College's favor is when they're on schedule, right? When they're in those 3rd and 3s, 3rd and 4s. We saw a lot of that against Florida State of, okay, when they were in 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10, it wasn't going as well for them. They're not designed to necessarily always drop back and throw the football. And Castellanos is a lower volume pass. I think, did he only throw? I don't think he threw 20.
Like 35 dropbacks total.
Yeah,
so not a lot.
So it's definitely more about his legs and the run game, but he needs to be efficient when he needs to be. And if they can stay ahead of schedule and they're in 3rd and 3s, well, then you can design easier throws for them. They're not going to be the team that throws over the top all the time, not unless they're taking a play action shot off of everything they have going on in the backfield. But that's going to be a big premium for me in this game, is Boston College staying ahead of the chains on early downs. If they get in 3rd and 10, then Missouri's at a big advantage, I think.
So, Dalton, in one of the only ranked games that we have on the slate this weekend, does Missouri pass their first true test of the season, or does Boston College come in and pull off a major upset?
And it's certainly not the ranked game that we came into the year expecting, is it, at all? I mean, props to Boston College for getting off to a good start. But, no, I like Missouri. I think Missouri's the better team, and I know they've played lesser competition. I think their defense has looked lights out, even in spite of that, especially in the secondary. The run game, the balance in their run game is big for me. Their offensive line's playing really well. I think Marcus Carroll and Nate Noel are if they got both of them in the transfer portal, I think it's a really fun pair, because it's a little bit different than Cody Schrader. Cody Schrader was a hammer. He had a little more of just a straight-ahead, physical, run-you-over approach, right? These 2 guys add a little more shiftiness to it. There's a little more open field ability. It's different. It's a little bit different. So I think the balance in the run game, regardless, it was something that made them really good last year. It opens things up for these receivers. I think Missouri's the better team. I think the weapons are going to assert themselves. And the only thing I want to see is just Brady Cook just be a little more pinpoint than he's looked the first 2 weeks. Because despite them shutting out the first 2 opponents and outscoring them 89-0, I don't think he's played his best football yet. Because the play calls are there. Kirby Moore, we talked about him last year. Kirby Moore is incredible, especially in the passing game. Just calling up deep shots when he needs them, working. Kirby Moore might scheme guys open right now better than almost any play caller in the country. So I think that's not going to be an issue. It's just going to be a matter of if Boston College can get pressure to Brady Cook, and if Brady Cook can just make the big throws when they're available.
So you got that.
I have them 35-24, Missouri. So.
I almost have the same exact score as you. I have Missouri 34-21 in this game. I think the offensive firepower is too much for Boston College to handle, and I think they'll be able to handle Castellanos enough in this game.
And we've talked about a lot about different guys: Teterow, McMillan, Travis Hunter, Jeremiah Smith, right? We've yet to get the big Luther Burden game.
Oh, yeah. We're due.
You got to think it's coming.
We're
due for a big Luther Burden game.
Yeah, and I think he will be a big factor in this game. So I got Missouri when it's won 34-21. Like I said, I think that, like you said before in your breakdown, I think it's just too much for them to handle in this game. And I think the defense will do enough against Thomas Castellanos, which is a dangerous ground game. And Bill O'Brien, like I said, has done a masterful job of improving Castellanos as a passer, although limited on limited dropbacks, but still looks really good when he is dropping back to pass. But I think Missouri will kind of end the little Cinderella run that we've had for Boston College so far and win this game.